Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. What's happening, everybody? Hope everybody's doing good today. I know I am. Today's a great day. Today's Sunday. It is a great day to be alive. It's a great day to be sober, man. What's happening? Yeah, so I'm ready to get this video podcast started today. I got some good information for you guys. I think you'll find it useful. I think you'll find it encouraging, and I think you'll find it that it's helpful to live a little bit of what we're going to be talking about. So I guess before we get started, you know how I always like to get my video podcast started, always with a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers, and for those of you who are still in the struggle and bound down to those strongholds, man. So if you would, please, a moment of silence. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference. All righty, man. What's happening, man? Okay, well, let's get started, man. Today, I wanted to talk about kind of the same, here, the last few videos that I've done, I've been talking a lot about the mind and meditation and how to connect thoughts to the feelings in your heart, to the actions that you do, right? And I want to kind of get into this, since today's Sunday, I listened to it. I heard a few things today that really inspired me to talk about this today. And it's, I'm gonna, I don't like to do a whole lot of bring religion into, my subjects and that sort of thing. I mean, it ultimately always is around that, but I don't want to get too religious on my topics, because, I want it to be open. I want people to understand and have their own views and visions and their own thought processes, if you will, so that they can engage in the subjects that I talk about in their own lives and see where you can kind of, it's kind of like a digging into your own lives to see where the things that I talk about is something that you perhaps have lived, or you're going through, or you understand now. When you hear something that I say, you're like, oh wow, okay, I get it. I understand now why I'm doing this, or why I'm doing that, or why I'm still here, or why I'm still whatever. You know what I mean? So when you hear it through somebody else's lens, if you will, it sometimes makes more sense to you of the things that you're doing in your life, and the things that, why you're not reaching goals, or why you're not feeling a certain way, or why you're still bound down to whatever strongholds bounding you down. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, whether it's just people in general, or people of in the academic world, the scientific world, the religious world, they all have this one thing in common, is that they know, and they understand the fact that your mental state has everything to do with what you're doing. You know what I mean? And so I want to go to this part that I found in the New the New International Version of the Bible, and it's the Corinthians 10:3, and this has to do with they talk about in that verse of the Bible, they talk about a stronghold, and how the environment, if you will, is affecting what's keeping you in that stronghold. And the stronghold comes from this, in this antiquity times, in this ancient times, that the stronghold was this kind of wall, if you will, that kingdoms and people would build to keep things out of coming into their environment, right? And basically, it is it's like having it's almost like truths and tactics, if you will. You know what I mean? It's like it's basically a raging war that you're having mentally, and it's what you're allowing to process through, if you will. You know what I'm saying? And it is I believe that you have to get your mind right in order to do anything in your life. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what it is that you're trying to do. You can't do it unless you mentally are prepared to do it. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's negative or positive. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're negative things that you're doing or positive things that you're doing. Ultimately, you have to think about it to do it. You know what I'm saying? So, it is, I wrote down a few notes that I wrote down, and it says, our lives are always moving in the direction of our strongest thought. And to me, that is like, that's just so true to me that, your life is being directed by what your strongest thoughts are. So if you're one of these people who are always worried or always thinking negative, or you're always in this thing like, oh man, I'll never be able to lose the weight, or oh, I'll never have this relationship, or my life is going nowhere, or man, I can never do anything right, or I don't deserve to be here, or I'm not worthy of a new relationship, or I'm not worthy of that new job. When you have a mindset like that, that's a negative mindset. And when you do those things, you're always going to attract what you're putting out there into the universe. You know what I mean? If you're saying those things and thinking those things, and guess what? You're always going to be doing that. That's your karmic activity that's returning to you, is going to be exactly that. And, never has anyone ever, if you doing these thinking processes in a positive way, have you ever gotten a negative feedback from that? It never happens. It doesn't happen that way. That's just the laws of the universe, man. You know what I mean? Those are just laws of what the divinity, what I think, what God put out there. You know what I mean? And it's like, what we think will always determine what we become. You know what I mean? And if you stop for a minute and think about what you think about. You know what I mean? Do every now, whenever you can, you know what I mean? Even as watching this video, if think about it. Think about the things that you think about most of the time. You know what I mean? And you're going to come to find out that if you analyze your mentality like that, and you say, okay, what is it that I think about mostly? You know what I mean? And I can guarantee you're living a life of whatever you're thinking about. You know what I mean? I can guarantee you, some way, shape, or form, your life is being dictated by those thoughts. By those thoughts that that take up most of the time of your day. You know what I mean? So if you're, whatever you're thinking, because we think a lot, you know what I mean? It's noted that a human thinks 60 to 80,000 thoughts every single day. Can you imagine how many thoughts that is? Okay, well, out of all of those thoughts, there's a few thoughts that is stronghold that's got a stronghold on you. And those are the thoughts that are mapped into your into your neurotransmitters, into your brain, into your thought processes. Those are the thoughts that are your default thoughts in a sense. So as soon as you freaking wake up, boom, that's what you think about, because it's already programmed and mapped in your brain. But you know what? The good thing about this is that there's a thing called free will. Free will, that's amazing, man. You know what I mean? It's ironic that we live in a free country and we have free will. And you don't have to live in a free country to have free will. This is something that's divine, and it comes from the divinity, comes from that higher power. This is what you were born with. You know what I mean? You have this capability. You have this weapon, if you will. You have the freaking weapon that is better than any atomic bomb. It's more powerful than any of that stuff. Is this weapon of free will, this weapon of speaking things out into existence. That's powerful. You know what I mean? When you can speak and speak the words of your higher power, and know that when you're doing this on a repetitive basis, and you're reaching and saying these things and throwing them out there all day long, guess what happens? That's what you get in return. You start getting that in return. You start getting these positive things coming to you. You start getting all these things that you've been mindful of. All this enlightenment that you've been, manifesting in your head, man. When you speak all of those types of things, that's what comes back to you. And, it is, unfortunately, we live in a society that's very, very, very toxic. And it is, it's a technical world out there. We live in this new age world with, everybody's on a device. Everybody's connected through one another, through this, what we call the internet. It's this information highway, if you will. But guess what? That information highway comes from where? It comes from out there. You know what I mean? It comes from the magnetic fields out in the universe, and this whole, physics type, quantum theory things, you know what I mean? And it's the same thing it's the same process of how we speak. When we speak things out in the universe, that's what comes back to us. You know what I mean? And that's how we get connected. We can get connected to our divinity. We can get connected to our higher power through words that come out of this thought process in our brains and comes into the heart and manifests these things out into existence. Man, it's a powerful thing. And, when you do that, you'll be amazed at how your thought process starts changing. How when you start doing all this positive actions and positive thinking, you'll be amazed at how this, how your life will start transforming itself. And it's going to be transforming itself and you won't even know it. You know what I mean? It's just something that happens, something that just comes when you start doing this practice. And, there was I wanted to find out, there's a word that I looked up, and it was, had to do with, the Ethernet, and ether, the term ether, and then Ethernet, and there was a similarity, you know what I mean, that ether had, that it means to be ambiguous, and ambiguous is to be everywhere, to be omnipresent. Omnipresent means that you're all over the place. You're in it doesn't matter. You're always there. You know what I'm saying? And that to me is what my higher power is. That to me is the same thing as the higher power, because you're everywhere. And the word the internet, Ethernet came from, it's using the same Context that you can be everywhere. You know what I mean? So if you're online, you can be everywhere in the world if you want. And that's the beauty of being online and using online in a positive sense, like me doing this podcast and spreading an encouraging word to anybody out there in the world, whoever watches the channel. You know what I mean? I can be saying this, what I'm saying now, to somebody in Berlin or in China or in Australia, and they'll get it in within seconds. You know what I mean? They'll be getting my words within seconds. How powerful is that? You know what I mean? And it you know, if you do these things on a repetitive basis and speak about it, talk about it, and learn it, study it, and, you know, be one with it. And what I mean by be one and study all these things, it's the power of your higher power, power of the mind, power of the heart, and the power to be whatever you want to be. And hopefully that is something that's positive and spiritual. For me, that's my whole guiding principles of my life, if you will, is spirituality and being mindful, being enlightened, sharing a message, helping my fellow man, taking care of my family, taking care of my body that the higher power gave me. And, you know, that's one of the things that we don't do enough of in this world, is take care of our own selves. And, you know, we're special creatures, you and I. You know what I mean? And we only get one chance to live. And why not make it the best life if we're only going to be here for today? Because we can't get back to what just happened. We can't get back to the life that we lived in the past. You know, that's what the here and now is all about. And why not make the here and now a special place? Why not make the here and now something that you can live to the fullest and share this love and mindfulness and enlightenment to the fullest with anybody and everybody that you meet? And be that example for your kids, be that example for your brother, be that example for your sister, be that example for your cousins, be that example for your uncles, your aunts, your grandma, your grandpa, be the example for your coworkers, for just your neighbor, man. You know what I mean? Be an example of what it is to live a life of spirituality, mindfulness, and enlightenment. What it is to be human. Live a life of divinity, of humanity, man. It is just, why would I want to live a life of being still addicted to drugs and just killing myself and hurting nobody and doing things that are hurting other people? Why do I want to live that life? I don't know why I stuck to that life for so long. I wish I would have saw the bigger picture a long time ago, but unfortunately, it took me years to see that. And but I'm grateful. I'm grateful to my higher power. I'm grateful to God that I'm able to do that today, man. And that's why I share a message. That's why I do these videos. That's why I have this podcast, is to share that message, to share the things that have helped me along the way to get to this point of spirituality, divinity, humanism, and just mindful and enlightenment, man. It's just a great way to live. And I just wanted to, you know, I was kind of encouraged to share that message today through a couple of the sermons that I saw earlier today. And I just, you know, I'm just grateful, man, and that I'm able to be able to share it. And I hope that this reaches the person that needs to hear it. I really do. And I guess... man, I guess that's going to be it for today's video podcast, man. I don't want to, you know, prolong it too much longer. You know, I just wanted to get this out there because I got a lot of studying that I got to do for my IT course that I'm taking, and cybersecurity course that I'm enrolled in, and I got a lot of studying to do. So I wanted to, before getting into that whole thought process of thinking of schooling and all that, I wanted to kind of get my video out there today and share the message that I heard today. And it was encouraging for me, so I figured if it's encouraging for me, man, it's going to be encouraging for you. And at this time, man, if you would please hit that bell, hit that subscribe button, give me a like, give me a comment. I really appreciate it. And just know that when you do hit that subscribe button, it doesn't cost you a thing, but just know that you'll be helping out another veteran, another homeless person, another person dealing with drug addiction, PTSDs, trauma, alcoholism, and depression, suicidal thoughts, all of those things, because I've personally dealt with all those things in my life. And that's why we're doing these videos, is to try to get as many people on this side of recovery, positivity, and spirituality to lead a life like that. And just know that it's great, man. It's a great, because I'm living proof. And I just wanted to get that message out there today. So you guys have very, very happy and grateful Sunday, man. And I guess until the next time on When the Smoke Clears, I am the Recovery Plug.